Hey y'all, what's today? Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. I was listening to Whitney Houston on the way into work, and it really got me thinking about just her journey as we know it, like, based on the stuff that maybe we've heard or read throughout her life about her struggles or just the things that she experienced in life. And it really emphasize the fact that none of us are in a position to judge the other person's journey, meaning regardless of how perfect or how good you think your life is, how much progress you feel like you've made in life, it still doesn't position us to think about someone else's journey from a negative standpoint. And I guess there's a couple bullet points under that topic, what I want to communicate in terms of that. The first being, not everybody's life is going to look the same. Just because one person is more mature in another area and person B is mature in a totally different area doesn't make person A further along or better than person B. Because if you sit down two people and you bring out their portfolios as it just pertains to them as a person, their maybe emotional intelligence, financial literacy, education, work history, how they treat people, all of those things, there's always going to be one person that's further ahead in some areas than the other person is. But there's no way to make the two unequal in saying, or that this makes this person better off overall than the other person, because our journeys are all different. I may learn a lesson at 15 that another person doesn't learn until 30, and that is okay. Now, fundamentally, there are some things as far as like treating people decently that we will hope the majority of us learn early on. But the reality of it is, not everybody's conditions are set up as such, so that they are introduced to those lessons. And then in terms of Whitney Houston and maybe some other entertainers or athletes that are gone, what's synonymous with the word Whitney Houston? We think about her drug use, we think about her relationship with Bobby, right? And oftentimes people say, damn, like Whitney Houston, if she could have just let those drugs alone, or if she would have never got with Bobby, or such a great talent wasted. But think about it this way: not every teacher shows up in a classroom, meaning it's easy for us in the physical sense, in our human minds, to pass judgment on her situation. But look at just how much, I use the term sometimes, I feel as though I am the sacrificial lamb. And what I mean by that, not to make it about me, because that's not the point of this video, is a lot of times, I feel as though I am put in people's lives the short way to explain is to give more than I get in return. Like, I give people like the love and the understanding that oftentimes they're not used to, and because of that, in return, I feel like I'm left to kind of pick up the pieces as it pertains to those situations. Now, not for nothing, I am grateful for every situation that I've experienced where I felt like that, because it's also like taught me something and helped me to just understand the importance of self-love and to really, really dwell in a place of peace. Okay, so let's think about Whitney Houston's life in the same sense. Look at just how much she's given us. Yes, her catalog of music is amazing. Her voice was, I don't know anybody that can like sing as effortlessly as she did. But in terms of her drug use, maybe, just maybe, she had to be Whitney Houston in this life, meaning she had to be popular and, have money and be in front of us so that her life could serve as the lesson for hundreds of thousands of people who, if they didn't have that example that she set in terms of some of the decisions that she made, they would have never got that lesson, and they would have made some of the same choices and maybe had a worse outcome than she did. Or, maybe her relationship with Bobby is something that was meant to teach, depending on the person. When your time is up with somebody, you got to let them go, or, this is what that can turn into. And on the flip side of that, I could understand it from a place of meeting somebody that we've all been through things in life that may, have contributed to the not so good parts of us, right? But meeting somebody and y'all just decide, like, let's thug this out together. Like, let's really do life together. Let's rid ourselves of the societal beliefs of, you know, what a relationship is supposed to look like, and let's just live. Let's just enjoy this time with one another. We don't know, so their relationship is going to mean something different for each person that that sees it and that reflects upon it, right? And so that's really what I was thinking about with her. Like, and not for nothing, I do believe that we are all born with an expiration date. I do not believe that there's anything that you can do in life to cheat death, or, you know, sometimes we say wrong place, wrong time. I don't believe in that. And I say that because, you know, when we think about God, we think of him as having all power and that he knows everything. He knows the number of hairs on our heads, blah, blah, blah. So he knows how long we're meant to be here. Now, I do believe this is where freedom of choice comes in. Free will comes in, meaning, think about if you give a child $100 and you say, all right, child, you got $100. You can either invest it, and then in 10 years, you'll have triple that or quadruple that, or you can take your $100 and we can go to the toy store and you can fuck off and buy what you want to buy. In that moment, the child is going to make a decision based on the knowledge and understanding they have in that very moment. So they may not see the value in having money on top of money in 10 years because their mindset right now is, I want a new toy. I want that immediate gratification, right? And so I do think in terms of our lives in general, that's where that free will comes in. Meaning, if I decide in this very moment of my life that I want to be the wife to a street dude, if my expiration date is in a year and, you know, I'm with this street dude and I end up getting caught up in some stuff and I'm gunned down in the middle of wherever, most people will say, damn, Trees, like, if you would have just stopped messing with old dude, like, you wouldn't have been in that situation and you'd be alive today. No. In our physical minds, we are attached to how I died, but the fact still remains the same that a year from now, I would have died anyway. Like, it was going to be my time to go anyway. So, you know, I got gunned down in the middle of the street because I was with old dude. Dang, that's the way to go out. Or maybe I would have been at home in my bed sleeping. But the fact still remains that a year from today, if I'm meant to go, I'm going to go. And so I said all of that to say, like, we have to just get in the flow of life and remove this notion that we have in terms of, like, being so attached to, I guess, the how. And that's the same thing. I'm going off on a tangent, but maybe I need to hear this. That's the same thing in terms of, like, manifestation. A lot of times we see our current situation and we'll say, I want a G-Wagon. I'm gonna talk about this because I want a G-Wagon, but right now I can't go swipe and say, yep, I'm gonna buy a G-Wagon cash. That would be, like, I cannot do that right now. But that doesn't stop me from putting things in place and speaking into existence the fact that one day I am going to have my G-Wagon, right? But if I were to get attached to my right now, the fact that right now I can't go and do that, that would remove me or rid me of, it's kind of like that imagination that you have as a kid. I'm not attached to the how. I just know it's something that's going to happen for me. Like, if I continue to do the things that I do in terms of, you know, living in purpose and making sure my finances is set up the way, like, one day that's gonna be my reality, and I'm cool with that. So I don't worry about, like, the right now. You cannot get attached to the how. That is something that's far beyond anything as human beings we were ever meant to control. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. We sit there and we try to play God and figure out the how. No, you just got to know that, okay, this is something, a dream, a desire that's within me. I know the things that I have been tasked to do in this world. I know the things that are on my heart to do as far as my purpose. So I'm gonna get on purpose. I'm gonna live in purpose, and the rest of it is just gonna work itself out, right? And then also, I don't know, I just want to say this too, as far as being judgmental. Be careful of all of the things that we say in our day-to-day as far as couldn't be me. I never do that, because I'm gonna be the first to tell you, there have been things that I have passed judgment, like years ago. I would say, oh, I would never do that. Like, and did. Sure did. And I always say, like, don't put yourself in a situation where God had to show you just how weak you are. Like, as a human being, how weak we really are. And we think we are we pass judgment to the point where we have to be put in a situation to really understand how easy it is to be the plus one in that situation. Like, to also to be the me too in that situation, and say, yep, done it too, been there, done that, got the t-shirt to prove it. And as far as taking it a step further, in my line of work, I meet a lot of different people, and that's one thing that I really am thankful for. I learn young. Like, I learn young in terms of just the diversity that exists in our lifestyles. And you know, I come into contact with people that have done things in life, that have like experienced real life situations, and they have regrets, or, you know, they feel guilty about certain things. And I always tell people, I'm not gonna judge you. I don't care what you have done, because truth be told, we've all done stuff that we just hoping and praying we never in the judgment seat in front of our family and friends about, right? God's grace and mercy has kept certain things to the point where, like, we know it happened. We might got some friends that know about it, but we're like, whew, like, I'm so glad that part of my life is over. And I tell people, like, I'm never going to be the person. Y'all can write me off for this. I'm totally fine with that. And again, this is me thinking in my spiritual mind and not necessarily the physical, because of course, if something happens to one of my family and friends in a situation as such, like I'm about to explain, I would have a physical reaction to it. Like, I would be upset. I would have a physical reaction to it. But I always tell people, and this is something I tell the people around me, because I like to give people something to think about. And you can ask people around me. I say this all the time. This is something I always say. I'm never going to judge a person that has done something like the worst of the worst. Somebody that's murdered somebody, because we are all one situation away from having to make a choice, from having to make a choice that might cause us to do the same thing. I don't have children, but I have sisters, and I know how far I'm willing to take it when it comes to like one of them, their safety. Like, if I were in a situation and I had to make a decision, either them or you, whoever you are, sayonara, sorry about it. And of course, that is never a situation that I want to be in. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in our ability to be logical outside of a situation that we forget that when you are in certain situations, all of that logic goes out the door. It's that fight or flight syndrome. And when it comes down to it, you could easily have the same label that you judge other people for having at this point in your life. So again, be mindful. Never say what you ain't gonna do. Never say couldn't be me, because life changes in a matter of seconds, matter of minutes. That's just the reality of it. And so I really hope I left you all with something to think about. I promise y'all, this has all just come from like life experience. This has come from me at one point having this thought, like, I felt like I had so much control in life. And of course, again, for all of my people that want to get technical, that's going to charge me on the technicality, yeah, in certain instances we do have control. Like, I ain't have to stop this morning and get Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I was in full control of my decision to stop and get this coffee, right? Got it. Yes, you're right. But in other situations, when like time and opportunity are right there in your face and you got to make a choice, we're not going to always make the choice that we would have made outside of that very moment. We're going to make a choice based on like survival instinct. I'll be the first to say it. Like, that's just life. That's just real life, y'all. And so I guess the wrap it all up, one, never judge where somebody is in life, because in an instant you can be in that same place. Like, you think you up right now, something could happen today, tomorrow, next week, where you could be right outside laying next to that homeless person that oh, well, I'm not gonna give them no money because they probably just gonna do drugs anyway. Okay, $5. What, like, you thinking you're playing God. Like, you're thinking you're going to teach this person a lesson, or you're not going to contribute to a habit that they have, when God might have put that person in your path to teach them the complete opposite. Like, oh man, like I'm homeless, I'm out here holding a sign, like I know how people are probably judging me, but oh wait, this nice person in a car, somebody that's, you know, from societal standpoints, that's doing okay in life, they see me and they care enough about me as a person. They're not judging my situation to give me $5. Man, damn, there are some good people out in this world. And that might be the moment in time that changes their perception of just how they might think people are wicked, and that might have been your purpose. But you too caught up in trying to teach somebody a lesson and trying to control what they're doing in life, that you pass up the opportunity, you pass up the real reason why time and place were in your favor in terms of being able to be a blessing to somebody. That's one of my rules, y'all. I don't keep cash on me much, but anytime I have cash on me, if I come into contact with somebody that's out in the street, I don't care what they look like, I don't care if they got 12 dogs with them, I don't care if they got a bust down chain on. Me and God's conversation has been, your task is that when you see somebody on the streets, if you got cash, you give them some of it. I don't ask questions. I don't sit there and try to judge the situation and see if I feel like that's somebody that deserves to be blessed. That I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's between them and God. I know what I've been tasked to do in those situations, and that is to be a blessing to somebody else. So that's my challenge to y'all today. To like catch yourself in your thoughts. When it's time for y'all to go to lunch, if you do lunch with people, I'm not somebody, I like my me time. If you go to lunch with your coworkers, if you get on the phone with your friends, when those conversations come up where you are about to talk about somebody else, and girl, couldn't be me because girl, last week she was in a club and now she on Instagram asking for money. Stop yourself and really acknowledge the fact that that could be you. We all feel like we got it. We all feel like we got enough to make it through today, next month. We all feel like that until real life happens. That's why emergencies and those kind of situations exist, because at some point in our life, we all gonna be faced with some stuff that we thought we were equipped to handle, but life got one up on us, and we have to depend on other people. Like, that is how the world was created to function, y'all. If we all want to have this sense of independence, self-made, that's why relationships and this dynamic between men and women is so effed up now, because we are all trying to exist in a space that was never meant to function. Like, we were made to need one another as men and women. We were made like that. Think about the fact that before we came into this world, we were attached to our mother for 9 months. We could not grow without, we got science now, but you know what I mean. In its most natural form, and like how the world was created to function, we had to depend on our mothers for 9 months. We had to grow for 9 months inside of our mothers before we could even like function in the world, before we had lungs that were fully equipped to help us breathe on our own. Like, we were attached to our mothers. And so this idea of not needing anybody, like, the world was never meant to function like this. And that's why we in such chaos overall now. Like, that's why people are suffering, because we've created these little like, it's almost like we have, as a culture especially, we have gotten to a point where if people don't meet our metric in terms of what we feel like people should be in life based on where we are in life, we're like talking down on them and being dismissive of them, instead of one, using that as an opportunity to thank God for the progress that you've made and where you are, and two, teach them. Like, somebody taught you something. Think about the job that you have. I speak for myself. I am a director because when I went to my interview, somebody saw something in me that before then I hadn't even seen in myself. So somebody took a chance with me. But in that, yesterday, went to the exec meeting, and they were telling me how, like, we really want you to be the face of this company long term, like what you're doing. But before this, I never want to be in a managerial position. Not me. Find somebody else to do it. But it took somebody knowing more than I did in that moment of me going to that interview and seeing things in me that they knew were an intricate part of what it takes to build an organization or to manage an organization. Them seeing that in me and taking that chance on me and being willing to teach me what I didn't know to be functional in this role. But how many times, like I said, do we, oh, I ain't got time to, nope, if you don't know, that's, no, like that is not how we were. Hell, everybody, it's tax season, everybody joking about filing your taxes, but how many of us got to sit down and either use a software or go to our accountant or a tax preparer to do our taxes? Because that's not our strong point. That is not what we are most informed or most knowledgeable about, right? So how is that any different from anything in life that we know more than the next person about? We know more about than the next person, or vice versa. Listen, that's why y'all walking around mad, pissed off with everybody but yourself. Do some introspection and really look at how your mindset and how you carry the world or how you see the world, how that is also what's reflected back to you in your day-to-day. So I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna get in here and start my day. It's gonna be an amazing day. And thank you, Whitney, because I'm telling y'all, I listen to Whitney Houston all the way to work. And all of this came from me just really sitting there and listening to her and just thinking about her story. And so look at what we see as her misfortunes. Look at what came out of that. This gonna help somebody. Hell, it helped me. So have an amazing Wednesday, y'all. It's another rainy day here in Virginia, but I feel so daggone good. I could run a marathon right now. I really could. So I will talk to y'all later.